I am super excited to have a conversation today with another homeschooling mom. We are homeschooling mothers coming today to talk about community. And so I would love to introduce ourselves first and who we are. You can go ahead and start.
So yes, I am Oni. I reside in Durham, North Carolina. I am I guess what you would say, a community partner here with the city for the homeschool community, and so that's my passion, my goals, and what I'm doing right now is trying to build resources and more of a community for homeschoolers here in Durham. A little bit about myself. I am 34 years young. I am a wife. I am a mother of two boys. Um, yeah, so I mean, of course, we're homeschoolers, so we love to learn. We love to, experiment and, get out in our community and just experience everything. And so, I'm grateful for them because it's what I like to do just in general, myself. So, having the opportunity to include my kids in what I like to do while also teaching them, it works out for everyone.
I love that. We have a lot of things in common. So I met Oni on Facebook. So this is like a virtual connection. I went into her DM. I was like, hey, I think no, you were interested in my garden program that I'm
Yeah.
hosting.
Mm-hmm.
And we figured out you were in Durham, so it was like you couldn't make it because I'm located in High Point. But then we connected and met up and was like, let's have a conversation. So I'm grateful that you're taking this time to meet with me. I'm also a homeschooling mom. My name is Aliyah. To everyone who doesn't know that will be listening to this video, I also a homeschooling mom, a wife as well. I was a former teacher, so I taught fourth grade, fifth grade, and sixth grade for a couple of years. I have my master's in education. And I decided to resign from teaching because I realized that I did not want to put my daughter in the education system. Like I really wanted to focus on homeschooling. It was important for me to choose what I was going to focus on because teaching is a lot of energy, and it
Right.
was like I cannot expend all of this energy. I just don't have it in me. So I did have to choose, and I decided to focus on homeschooling. And I've been actively building community and trying to build a business as well around my passion, which is education. It's gardening as well, and teaching children and parents how to garden and using it as a tool to integrate learning. So that in school you see that learning is very separated and compartmentalized, where math, you just learn math, and in science you just learn science, and English you just learn English. But what I try to teach parents and what I show parents when we're in the garden is that you can include learning in gardening. So in business and even in homeschooling, it takes building community, and that's what we're here to talk about. And so I want to know, why you decided to homeschool and how. And you said you're a community partner. So what does it look like, being a community partner in Durham, trying to build a homeschooling community?
Yeah. So I pretty much knew my whole life that, ever since I started thinking about children, that I wanted to teach them at home. I wanted to homeschool them. I mean, I just wanted to be a teacher in general. That's one of the things I wanted to do. But I did want to work in the public school system. And so that the opportunity to homeschool my kids just worked out for us. It's what I wanted. And I did it similar reasons to you. I didn't want my children in the public school systems just because it's just not the right environment for our children here in this country to excel. So that was my main reasons for doing it. We did try a private, all black private school when my oldest was in kindergarten, and that was mainly for reasons because I was working and I couldn't really homeschool them as much as I wanted to. So I found a good school that he could attend, and we tried that out. But just for my personal reasons of why I wanted to homeschool and what my children needed, it was best for both of us to just continue the homeschooling path, and we've loved it ever since we've started doing it. We've been a part of a couple of co-ops and built a pretty strong community here in Durham for them, and for myself as well to help me with homeschooling. um And so, yes, I am a, community partner here in Durham. So my main goal is to establish resources here in Durham for our homeschoolers. A lot of cities that surround us have a lot of businesses, government and just private businesses that support homeschoolers through, whether it's through events or classes or discounted classes or discounted, anything that they offer homeschoolers. But we just don't have those same opportunities here in Durham. We usually have to travel outside the city to experience a lot of this stuff. And it's a very big homeschool community here who constantly tell me they're looking for these resources and these things. So just on that path of trying to build our community here so we don't always have to outsource.
Exactly. So can you go into more detail about what it looks like to build community? Because one thing that I know a lot of homeschooling parents have the question is like, you know, where do we find friends? How can we find like people to meet? That sort of thing about how homeschooling kids, they don't get a lot of socialization. So what does it mean to you to actively be building community, and what does it look like?
So for me, I don't have that same experience as far as the socialization part. I feel like the community that we've built as far as the co-ops and stuff that we're in and the events and stuff that we go to and the programs that I have them in, they socialize all the time, all day, every day. My issue as far as homeschooling and resources that aren't available here are more so core subjects and learning classes that we don't necessarily have here. A lot of places, just like the YMCA, they offer like homeschool curriculum where they teach classes on a range of subjects from like art to coding, all kinds of stuff. And we don't have our YMCA here doesn't have those type of programs. So stuff like that is what we are really in need of. And like I teach classes to the public, for whoever is to come out, who wants to come out. My homeschool classes are open to any homeschoolers that are in Durham that want to come learn. And they're all based around core subjects and life skills, things that kids are learning in school that we don't necessarily have the resources for them to learn outside of school, outside of public school, unless we outsource it or pretty much outsource it if you don't know how to teach the subject yourself.
So I did the same thing as you. I just started to just host events and host classes, and like for me it started on Facebook, where I was just like, I'm gonna just start, because I started homeschooling, like fully homeschooling. I would say 2 years ago. Like I started when my daughter was young, but I was teaching and things, so it wasn't like I was like fully homeschooling. But then when I resigned, I started fully homeschooling, and I was like, we need a community because she has like no, it's just her. She's the only child, so it's like she has no no one, no friends and things like that. Her cousin Greensboro, and I really wanted to find people in High Point. Like I know Greensboro is 15 minutes away, but that's a lot. Like when you start to
it is, yeah.
Co-ops and things, you're driving 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes away. That's a lot. So I really wanted to find some people in my area. So I was like, let me just start a group. So I started a group, and then I was like, let's go to the library. And I started with the library and just, going to the library. And I met someone. And then the group started to get bigger, and I started hosting events. And this is kind of how community started for me, and like trying to find out, who's homeschooling in my community, because it is very, especially in High Point, like you were saying, there are a little resources, and the community is very scattered, or it's like not a lot of people are. I'm not gonna say there's not a lot of people that are homeschooling, but we're just scattered. So it's really hard to connect when you don't know, who's actively homeschooling, in your town. So I have really had to put myself out there, especially for my daughter. I had to put myself out there, and like start hosting things and trying to find people who were homeschooling. And that's kind of how it started as well.
Right. Yeah. Like you said, as far as finding your community or, how to find your community, that's just basically where you got to start at. It starts with yourself. And, I started doing things in the community that I felt like I was lacking. And if I have that need, there's someone else who might have that need too. So I just started offering classes, and then people started to join, and that's how we kind of built our co-op. And like you said, just going to the library, going to like parks and stuff like that, going anywhere really in the before the hours of 2 o'clock, and you see someone out with children, you kind of know they're probably
Right.
so yeah, just go out, put yourself out there, go out there, start doing things, going places, and you'll start to meet people. If you're looking for a certain class or something that's not being hosted, just start host it yourself. I know a lot of cities and counties have the 4-H programs. And those are all ran by volunteers. Anybody can start a program with 4-H. And so, you can go join other classes and programs that are already, going on, or you can start your own and, have that community there to support you in doing it.
Exactly. Can you explain what a co-op is? Because there are different ways that you can build community or find community in where you're at. So I know a lot of people may not have the time to like maybe people are looking for a micro school. Like there's different ways to homeschool. So you can do micro schooling, you can do co-ops, or you can join co-ops. You can do homeschooling pods, which may be the same thing as a co-op, but it could be different. You can just join a group where people are just going to the parks weekly. So co-op is a different type of learning environment. Can you explain what that is? Because I haven't found a co-op yet. Like I would really love to either find a co-op to join, since I'm really focused on building a business as well. I would love to find a co-op to join, or I would just have to start one. But I'm just thinking, like, what does that all entail when when you say like I'm gonna start a co-op?
Right. So I would think just starting with yourself and your homeschool. Like, what are your needs? What is your children lacking, or your education lacking in your homeschool? Maybe your curriculum, or just like if you want social, just the social events, and just for them to be around other children and mingle. So I would start there and look for a co-op to offer that. And like you said, there's different types of co-ops. There's some that just meet up, maybe once or twice a week at the park or something like that, just for socialization. And there's some I was a part of one that did a lot of field trips, mainly field trips to different places in the Triangle. But they did have some learning classes, but it was far. So just being able, having to travel there, which is usually like at least 30 minutes plus to to all the events, it just wasn't really working for us. So it's really a trial and error thing when finding your co-op. And then I also wouldn't try to limit yourself to being a part of just one co-op, because like I said, they offer different things. And like, if you're not going to start one of your own that offers everything that you need, then you're probably going to be shopping around in different stores, getting different stuff from different people. But yeah, I do like the idea of like micro schooling and like the pods and stuff like that, because they are more centered around like learning the core subjects and stuff like that. But it still just depends on how it's set up, because the way mine is set up is kind of like a pod where Monday through Thursday I teach a different class, same time, same place, pretty much. And people come when they can come. It's not like a set you have to be here every day. I think that's more of like a micro school where kids actually like go to school. It's not a public school. It's more centered around your beliefs and your structures of how you want to teach your children. But that's more of the micro school thing, which I also like, and that was a goal of mine before, to start a micro school. But just doing this co-op alone and me being the only one who teaches the classes, it's a lot. So I wouldn't do that unless I had more parent support, which I think is necessary in all co-ops, no matter what kind of co-op you are in. They need that parent support. Like, we are the teachers, we're the principals, we're the the guidance counselors, we're, the PTA, we're everything. So we have to give that involvement in every situation. And I find a lot of co-ops kind of let everything fall on the co-op leader. And so things don't, seem to work out for both parties in the best way. Because, you need that support from, the people that's in your co-op, the parents that's in your co-op. So with that being said, I like the idea of enrichment centers, and that's what I'm trying to start here in Durham, which is pretty much like a learning center for whoever decides to participate in the classes. They're classes that are open to the public for anyone who wants to do non-traditional learning. So you can be a child, or you can be an adult, you can be a homeschooler, you can just come after school if there's a class after school you want to take. But it's just a learning center that's not based around I guess North Carolina, since we're in North Carolina school standards. But it's just centered around like core subjects and life skills that you need to know to thrive in any community. And so that's something I'm looking more into to doing now. The co-ops I think are very useful for people who are starting out homeschooling. But once you have established how you want to present your curriculum to your kids and how you want them to learn, I don't see too many people in co-ops that have older children, like teens and late middle schoolers and stuff like that, because they kind of been in the game a while. They kind of know what they want out of their for their child's education, and they know what they want out of the community. I feel like a lot of people, when they're starting homeschooling, they're trying to build that community. So we look for co-ops and stuff like that to help us build it, and I think that they're very useful for that.
Exactly. When you're first starting off. Yeah, when your kids are young, I understand that, because that's one thing that I hear. But even still, like in the group that I host on Facebook, there are parents that'll go in and they'll be like, are there any teen parents doing anything? My teen are looking for things. I feel like it kind of drifts off maybe a little bit. I feel like parents may not put as much time or actively put as much time when kids get a little bit older, because kids, they can kind of do their own little thing. So maybe they spend more time in their rooms doing things, and maybe they spend more time like in their community, of course, but like they have more choices to do things. Like when you're younger, you're trying to find things for your kids to do, but as they get older, it's like, okay, they can kind of choose, instead of like still being more active and still being like, no, like let's still, be a part of these things and go out and do this. And, like you said, you have to be an active parent. And when you're running a co-op or you're looking for a co-op, go in thinking, you want to participate and add value to that co-op, because it is hard. It is a lot. And you have to talk about that. I think especially when you are a co-op leader or someone who is wanting to start a co-op, those are things that you definitely need to talk about when you're starting it with parents. Is like, if you're going to be a part of this co-op, have guidelines. Like, you want active parents, people who are going to participate, people who are going to donate, people who are going to, want to utilize their skills to teach classes or host events or come up with ideas. Because it should not just be, all on the co-op leader. That's kind of like public schooling, when you leave it all on the teacher. And
you're right, yeah.
Homeschooling is not supposed to look like public school at all. So I feel like that.
And I would say if that's like the route you want to take, where there's different reasons why parents are involved as much as some would like. But if your route is you just want your kids not to be in public school, but you aren't able to teach them yourselves, there's other resources for that other than just joining the co-op. Like you have OutSchool, you have online classes, there's online schools, online curriculums that you can sign up for and have your child just learn at home in your own setting, and you just go out for socialization if that's what you want to do. But I do feel like it's very much a strain to kind of feel like you don't have to be involved at all other than just showing up, because it's like you said. I like how you said what value do you bring to the co-op? And because that's kind of like how I look at communities in, in general, like, their relationships. You're building these relationships with, your family, your friends, your coworkers, your acquaintances that you're, trying to do certain things with. And, you have to bring value to that relationship as, and vice versa. They, should be bringing value to yours.
Exactly. So I would love to talk about, I guess, how can we as people, as homeschooling families, communities, moms, dads, whoever, how can we bring value to when we're wanting to start a community or looking for a community? What are ways that we can bring value to that community?
Yeah, so I would start by finding out what your community needs are, because you can't serve them or figure out your best qualities to bring to the table if you don't even know what someone needs or what your community needs. That's kind of like what I'm doing as far as like the community partner with Durham County, for the homeschoolers. Like right now I'm in kind of like survey stage of like just talking to a lot of homeschoolers that are here, old ones, and people who are thinking about homeschooling, finding out what they needed on their journey or what they need to start, or what's stopping them from starting their journey, like what resources are they looking for here in Durham. And so find out what people's needs are, find out what your community's needs are, and start there, and start building a relationship there.
Exactly. I like that. That's kind of how it all starts, is with needs. Like when you're starting to homeschool and you figure out what you need, then that's where you go out and look for the things that you need. And so you always start with like, what does your community need, and then try to fill that need. And
And I don't think it's always necessarily like you have to fill that void or you have to fill that need, but like a community, like I said, is building relationships. So even if you can't solve the problem or you don't know what to do, you are able to source that information, around you, in your immediate circle. Even I like Facebook as a way to like build community in this day and age. Everyone's on social media, and as far as homeschoolers go, the Facebook groups help a lot. Like they give you a lot of information on events, people who are looking for co-ops, people who have co-ops, people are just starting out and might need some advice or something like that. Like those Facebook groups help a lot. I met you through one, and even though we're not in the same city, like we can still build community as far as sharing resources and information with each other.
Exactly. So I love social media as well. I think it's a good medium to find community, start community, especially as adults if you're looking for, because we need community as well. And I want to go back to what you said about like, it's not about like filling in a need, and it's not about, especially when you're homeschooling, it's not about doing everything. And like, when you do join a co-op, doing everything, or feeling like you have to show up to every single thing, but it is, like you said, adding value and figuring out what your boundaries are, what you can do. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want your homeschooling journey to look like? What can you do? That's important to think about, instead of like thinking, I have to do everything. There are so many different resources, and when you do meet people on social media, you're adding, to that pile of resources that you can share with other people. Especially that's just important in general when it comes to homeschooling, because we don't have like the support of we have to go out there and look for it, but we don't have like all of the resources that you may see in a public school, where it's like you can get free lunch, free library access to books. You can get you have free teacher you have teacher access. There's so many different like accesses that you can get at public school that we don't get to that we don't necessarily have access to as homeschoolers until we start to build community, and we can use our numbers to actually, get those things. But we have to have the community. Like they are looking for the numbers and like the people who are homeschooling. So, that's important.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. And then I was thinking that you don't, as far as like, filling the void and having that community to you don't have to necessarily do it yourself, as far as what I'm thinking, like, because there are going to be some times like when you're when you don't have good days, when you're not at your best, and you need that support, and you are going to need those resources as well. Like, you have to be valuable to your community, to your co-op, to your family. But there's going to be some times where you're not able to be there, and having a community means that you still don't fall short. Like, you still have what you need.
Yes, and I had skipped over the thought, but I was gonna let me go back to the thought of, even as parents, we need community in the homeschooling community
Yeah.
as well. Like, we're always searching for community for our children, but don't forget about ourselves when it comes to community and reaching out to parents or other people when you have questions and when you need help, because it shouldn't be, a journey that you do alone.
Right.
As a parent, especially if you don't know anything about, like, I'm not even saying you don't know anything about, because you've been teaching your child from the beginning of time, but it's like when you start to get into different subjects that you may not understand, there are so many resources out there that you can, utilize if you, ask for help, if you find yourself as a parent, a community as well.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. And that's one of the main things that I have parents, telling me that, right now, while I'm surveying homeschoolers, a lot of them are saying that they need that teacher support, or that that mental support, that therapy support, because it's not just about taking your kid to this event, or teaching them this subject or whatever. Like, it is a lot on us. Like, we are first most their parent. First of all, we're ourselves, so we're dealing with our own stuff, and then on top of that, we put a lot of ourselves into their schooling, because we are their parents and their teachers and everything else, when it comes to that. So, we don't know everything. Some people decide to homeschool and never went to college. So, they might feel inadequate as far as like teaching certain things. So, we need teacher support, as far as like how to teach, or what to teach, or you just just things that come up with learning disabilities and stuff like that. We need that support, and we also need, mental support, because it is, a lot on our mental and a lot on our kids' mental. They might need support that, they don't get on a constant basis, being in, like in public school, like being around their friends all the time. They have ways to divert, that stress or something like that. Here, they're just always in the same environment, then when they go out to, co-op classes or, events and stuff like that, they might deal with a situation that is new to them, and not normal to them, I guess I would say, like it would be to kids who go to public school every day.
Right. And that's why it's super important that we don't conform to this idea that, homeschooling children are isolated, but that we continue to build that community so that we can still, our kids can still have that social aspect of like going through things that, they need to experience, or even us, being able to, even in homeschooling, if you join a co-op or if you want to start something, you can have it like a PTA, where parents, come together and, create different events for the kids or whatever. Like, you can still build that community outside of public education. I know a lot of people, we depend on that. Like, that's why I say sometimes when I talk to parents, I'm like, yeah, when you put your child in school and then you take them out, it's really hard to beat the aspect of social.
Mm-hmm.
Because kids get so much, I'm not saying that they socialize a lot, but they see so many different people and they have so many different supports. Like you said, like they can go to a counselor, they can talk to different teachers, they can talk to their friends. It's different people and different support systems that they have. And so when we're thinking about homeschooling, we also need to think about, we can't be our child's only support system.
Right.
We would love to be, but it's not healthy, especially for us as well as parents. And we're already being the parent, the teacher, the counselor, the this and that. We're already doing it all. So it's like, it's okay to relieve some of those roles to other people. Like sometimes, if you can, get your, pay for a tutor, pay for another teacher, or build community, build relationships with people so that you don't have to pay. You can maybe exchange, barter. You could, you all could just get up together and do classes together. It's not even about the money. It's just about, building the relationship so that you can find other people to help you, you know.
And I definitely agree with that. And I feel like if parents put in the work to support each other in these, co-op situations or just homeschooling situations in general, we can have that community. And like you said, if you don't have that, or you can't get that, then outsource. Don't feel like you can't pay for a service or pay for a class for your child because you're not finding it where you are. That's still, I hear a lot of people saying they don't want to, have their kids doing like online classes or, sitting in front of a computer doing classes and stuff all the time. But I'm just like, if you don't have the resources to teach them, and, you're not getting out in your community and building that for you guys, then, that's not, a bad situation to be in. Like, that's a great resource to have to, pay for, like you said, a tutor or, someone to come in and help.
Exactly. And listen, they doing it at school now. These kids be on the computer almost,
Right.
half the day they on the computer. I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but what I'm saying is,
or even that if it's not, even if you're not outsourcing your child's education, like outsource something else, like have a cleaning lady come, once a month or something like that and do some deep cleaning for you. Like, divert other stress so, you can focus more on your homeschooling because,
exactly.
you need, a holistic, community. Like, you don't just need it for the education. Like, you need it for everything.
Yes, I love that. We're going to end it on that note. That was beautiful. A holistic community. Yes, for your homeschooling journey. That was beautiful. Thank you, Oni, for sharing and spending time with talking about community. I hope that this helps someone to think about community, how you want to start it, where you want to go. We shared a lot of good little nuggets and gems. So, yeah, peace.
Yes, peace. Thank you.